3 is trimmings can reduce the need of harvest fish for feeds. 4 is sustainable feeds help maintain a nutritional balance for healthy fish and healthy peoples. 5 is improved feeding methods reduce impact to the environment. And number 19 is, why do we need to process feed and feed ingredients? So because of processing is performed in order to improve the digestibility of feedstuff, to extend the shelf life of the product, or to make sure the byproduct of the human foods industry such as wheat, middling, soybeans, meal and hulls, rice bran, and beet pulp. Number 20 is, why is grinding of ingredients a necessary step in feed preparations? Because the grinding of ingredients generally improve feed digestibility, acceptability, mixing properties, palatability, and increase the bulk density of some ingredients. It is accomplished by many types of manual and mechanical operations involving impact, attrition, and cutting. Number 21 is, explain the importance of knowing the moisture content of the feedstuff and feed, especially prior to storage. So, moisture content should not be more than 10% and relative humidity not greater than 65%. It is important to knowing this prevent fungal growth and insect infestation that grows best at 26 degree 37 degrees Celsius. Temperature should not be too high to prevent destruction and reduction of the nutrients. Exposure to oxygen should be limited to prevent oxidative rancidity, particularly in feeds of high lipids content. The peroxides formed from the lipids peroxidation may be bind with proteins or vitamins and reduce their availability. Number 22 is, what are some typical examples of anti-nutritional factor in feed ingredients and their effect on aquatic animals, and how this factor eliminates minimize? So, there are various ways of processing raw materials that can destroy some anti-nutritional factor present in feedstuff. They are soaking, heating, chemical treatment such as instruction with organic solvent, and dehaling. The kind of treatments will depend on the substance present in the feed ingredients. Different methods of feedstuff processing, soaking, heating, and cooking, dehaling, extraction with organic solvents, and chemical treatment. Number 23 is, what is the purpose of pelleting and how does one make floating and sinking feeds? Basically, the purpose of pelleting is to take a finely divided, sometimes dusty, unpalatable, and difficult to handle feed materials, and by using heat, moisture, and the pressures, form into larger particles. And it is one of make floating and sinking feed by the extrusions. Cooking causes a high level of galvanization of starch, result in feed with good water stability. It can produce expander floating feeds as well as sinking fillet. The process also improves the digestibility of the products. Number 24 is, explain briefly the basic step in small-scale feed preparation and compare this to steps in commercial feed preparations in milling. So, steps in small-scale feed preparations, mixing of locally available feed ingredients at home is a practical way of producing feed for shrimp and fishes. So, grinding, dry ingredients are fine ground until the particles of similar size are obtained. 2 is screening. The ground ingredients are shaved or sifted using a number 40 sheave or any nylon net with mesh size of 425 millimeters. So, number 3 is weighing. All in ingredients or TSR weight or M measured accurately in bowl or basins. So, mixings. All dry ingredients are mixed thoroughly. The vitamins or minerals are mixed separately with the lipid source of oil and added to dry mixture. The mixture is thoroughly mixed for another 5 minutes. Then, number 5 is galvanization or cooking. To cook cornstarch, bread flour, and grinders for 1 part starch in added in 4 parts of water or 50 grams in 200 ml of waters. For 1 kilogram of feeds in saucepan, the starch is cooked into a jelly-like consistency in a double boiler. Then 6 is kneading. The gelatinized grinder is removed from heat and allowed to cool. The cold gelatinized starch or blinder is added into dry mixture and mixed for 5 minutes until a stiff dough with form of. And 7 is pelleting. The dough is quenched and passed through a meat grinder. The appropriate die is a use of first size for fish or shrimp to be fed up table in 5.2 and the various size. And 8 is steaming. The pelleted feed is spread or evenly or wire nets that fit inside the metal holder of the steamer. Water is boiled to 5 to 8 cm depth in the big pot and the pellets are steamed for 5 minutes. Overcooking or steaming can cause of lost nutrients and make fillet stick to each other. 9 is drying and cooling. The steamed pellets are air-dried for a few minutes with an electric fan transferred to an oven and left overnight for 8 to 12 hours at 50 to 60 degrees Celsius. Fillet should not be dried under the sun to prevent destruction of some vitamins and the light-sensitive feed components. Then 10 is cutting, packaging, and storage. After fillet are removed from the oven, they are cooled for 30 to 60 minutes. The dried extracted for filleted feeds are cut to the desired length, placed in covered plastic jars, and stored in a cool, dry place. Step in commercial feed preparation or milling. There are 3 general types of mix used in the feed milling industry. One is horizontal ribbon type of mix batch and continuous. Vertical boot loading mixers. Oscillating screw mixers. What are the deleterious effect of prolonged and improper storage of feeds? So, the overall effect is reduction in appetite growth and feed efficiencies. Prolonged exposure to rancid feeds weakness the animal, eventually leading to secondary disease and mortality. Behavior. Other factors to consider are the stage in the life cycle or larval, grow out or broodstock, and the type of the culture system. Like any other animals, fish and crustaceans need enough proteins, lipids, energy, vitamins, and minerals. These nutrients should be present in the formulated feeds in adequate amount. Excessive amount of the nutrients is wasteful, while insufficient level will result in slow growth. An allowance is made in the formula of nutrient losses during feed manufactures. So number 15 is give at least 3 feedstuffs that are good source of proteins. So available feed resources are either of the animal, fish meal, meat and bone meal, or plant origin, soybean meal, sunflower meal, cotton seed cake and groundnut cake, or neglected or underutilized protein source include pigeon peas, cowpeas, and chickpeas. B is lipids. Lipids are found predominantly in butters, oils, meats, dairy products, nuts, and seeds, and in many processed foods. The 3 main types of lipids are triglycerides, phospholipids, and sterols. The main jobs of the lipids is to provide or store energy. Then letter C is carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are a quality and important. Some types of carbohydrates rich food are better than others. The healthiest source of the carbohydrates, unprocessed or minimally processed whole grains, vegetable, fruits, and beans promote good healthy by delivering vitamins, mineral, fiber, and a hotspot of important phytonutrients. Number 18. What are the important things to consider in the preparation of aquafeeds? So aquafeed refers to any feeds given to aquatic farmed animal as part of the aquaculture. Fish, both farm and wild, require a balanced mix of essential nutrients such as amino acids, fatty acids, and vitamins to thrive, and it is a key of components of sustainable aquaculture is using feed ingredients that support sustainable growth of the aquaculture sector and preserve the unique combination of nutrients needed to sustain healthy fish and healthy peoples. So there are 5 important things to consider in the preparation of aquafeeds. So the option of the ingredients continue to expand and improves. 2 is a pairing taurine with plants based of protein unlock their aquafeeds potential. 3 are digest complex carbohydrates and are found in fish intestines. They are very important in herbivorous fish because of the high levels of carbohydrates in plants. The enzymes of amylase catalyze the digestion of starch, and there are two forms of amylase which act of randomly cleaving the chains from the within, and amylase which cuts the chain at the every 2 glucose units. At the branch point, another enzymes dextrinase does the work. The amylase and dextrinase produce maltose. Then number 9 is discuss the factor that may affect the digestion of absorption of fishes. So, if the efficiency of digestion and absorption is also affected by the condition of digestive tract. And pancreas and the liver in the fishes of hepatopancreas is a crustaceans. Nutritional disease and bacterial infections of digestive system can diminish the digestive and absorptive function in fishes and crustaceans. Then number 10 is explain the different stage in the feeding process in fish. So appetite and satiation is the state of the innate of arousal and feeding behavior. So knowledge of the factor that trigger appetite and satiation are very important to fish farmers who want to maximize feed consumption growth and conversion efficiencies of their fish stock by adjusting feeding schemes. Appetite, which is controlled by the hypothalamus, is stimulated by the gut fullness and or other metabolic change which affect of food consumptions. Then arousal research is a fish on fixed feeding schedule can learn to anticipate feeding times, but arousal is often due to the Pavlovian conditioning. The sight of the sounds of the farm workers about the gibbs feed can stimulate feedings. So sounds 200 to 700 Hz has been used in condition Red Sea bream of come to feeding spots in reaching system. The influence of social interaction among fish in a stock is also important. Arousal and feeding is in a one stock is also important, and a few usually lead to the stimulation of the others. Then location and identification. So the chemical and physical characteristic of food particles are important to consider so that fish can successfully locate foods. Making food more obvious to fish will make them easier to locate in the water column. And this can be done by adding chemical attractants, providing color and contrast, maintaining desirable size and shape of the particles, and manipulating light intensity and the turbidity, version, olfaction, and the gustation, sense of taste using surface of taste buds are all important in finding and locating food items. And capture. In carnivores, small particles can be ingested whole by being sucked into the mouth from the distance. Capture success in the wild depends on the prey size and avoidance behavior, but this is not applicable in culture using complete or supplementary feeds. However, movement in the water current may cause problems in getting at the food. Food particle size is a factor in capture success. Then taste of testing is a once the food is captured inside the mouth. The fish of shrimp tastes the food leading to the swallowing or rejections. Not all materials taken into the mouth are swallowed. They are tested to suitability by taste receptors inside the mouth's gills, arch, gills, rakers, and in the tissue surrounding the pharyngeal teeth. Then swallowing or rejection. Food which tastes good and have optimal particle size, shape, and texture will be swallowed by the fish. So most rejection and disintegration occur in fillet that are hard, abrasive, and are much longer than their diameter. Large particles are usually ejected through the mouth which coating actions. So therefore, feeds should have a correct size and texture for the species in culture. Delies in the ingestion of food due to the repeated spitting out of the food particles by the fish lead to increase the energy expenditure and food wastage. So number 11 is name some methods in formulating diets and give advantage and disadvantage of each methods. So there are several methods of formulating feeds. There are Pearson's square methods, algebraic equations, trial and error, and the linear programming. So there are the advantage of each methods. Person square is a simple, quick way to calculate the amount of feed necessary to meet of nutrient requirements of livestock and other animals. Algebraic equation, it helps us solve problem more quickly and easily than we could otherwise. And trial and error method is generally used to formulate ration of swine and poultry. This method is tries different diet and manipulates it until the nutrients requirement of the animal are met. In linear programming, it helps to solve multidimensional problems. Linear programming, or LP, is a mathematical procedure by which limited resources are allocated, selected, scheduled, or evaluated to achieve an optimal solution to particular objectives. And there are the advantage of each method. So the person squared method does have its weakness. It does not account for vitamins or mineral. And the advantage of trial and error is a waste of large quantity of test materials if you run prolonged tests. In some cases, you may not unable to reuse all test subject or catalyze. So you have to dispose of the materials. So the problem specific trial and error makes no attempt to generalize a solution to the other problems. And the linear programming problem, or LPPP, is a problem that concerns with finding the optimal value of the given linear functions. Number 12. Why is it important to know the nutrient content of feedstuff and their levels before one can start formulating of feeds? So it is very important to know the feeding value, the metabolizables, energy content of feedstuff for balancing animal diet, feeding value, and energy content of animals. Feed change according to the maturity stage, soil condition, fertilization, climate, processing method, and etc. So number 13 is, why is protein the first nutrient to be considered in formulating a diet? Protein is usually the first nutrients considered with the level of energy in the diet being adjusted to provide the optimum essential amino acids. It is the main constituent of the fish body. Animal sources are higher in protein than plant source. So number 14 is, discuss factors to be considered and their importance in formulating a feed for a specific species. So the two most important factors to consider in formulating a feed for any aquaculture species are nutrients requirements and feeding